What happens when one of Hollywood's biggest legends sits down with one of television's most outspoken hosts and things go so wrong that it ends with a shocking resignation? The View has seen its share of heated moments over the years, but nothing could have prepared anyone for what unfolded when Eddie Murphy walked onto that stage. This wasn't just another celebrity interview gone sideways. This was a collision of egos, perspectives, and unfiltered opinions that would change daytime television forever. Before we get into exactly what was said that made Joy Behar walk off her own show for good, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us what you think about all of this, because trust me, you're gonna have opinions. The audience applause was still echoing through the studio as Eddie Murphy settled into his seat on the famous View couch. Joy Behar sat across from him, notes in hand, that familiar smirk already forming on her face. The other hosts were there too, but from the moment Murphy sat down, it was clear this was going to be Joy's show. She leaned forward, not even waiting for the applause to fully die down. "Eddie Murphy, welcome to The View," Joy said, her voice dripping with that particular tone she reserves for guests she thinks she's about to corner. "You know, I've been looking forward to this because I have so many questions, and I have a feeling you're not going to like some of them." Eddie smiled, that classic Eddie Murphy smile that's disarmed audiences for decades. "Joy, I've been doing interviews for 40 years. I think I can handle whatever you got." "Oh, I'm sure you think you can," Joy shot back. "Let's start with something simple. Your career has had quite the arc. You were the biggest thing in comedy. Then you kind of disappeared for a while. Now you're back. What happened? Did Hollywood get tired of you, or did you get tired of Hollywood?" The audience went quiet. It was a loaded question, and everyone knew it. Eddie's smile didn't fade, but something shifted in his eyes. "That's an interesting way to phrase it, Joy. I didn't disappear. I made a choice. I chose my family. I chose to step back and be a father to my kids instead of chasing every movie role that came my way. Not everyone understands that, but I don't need everyone to understand it." Joy waved her hand dismissively. "Right, the family man angle. But come on, Eddie, you had 9 movies flop in a row. Norbit, Meet Dave, imagine that. These weren't artistic choices. These were bad movies that nobody wanted to see. Isn't it more accurate to say that you didn't step back? You were pushed out." Eddie's jaw tightened slightly, but his voice stayed level. "Joy, with all due respect, you're talking about something you don't understand. Those movies, some of them were for my kids. Some of them were passion projects. Were they all hits? No. Did I care? Not really. I had already proven everything I needed to prove in this industry. I didn't need to prove it again to people like you." "People like me?" Joy's eyebrows shot up. "What does that mean, people like me?" "Critics who've never created anything," Eddie said, his voice still calm but with an edge now. "People who sit on the sidelines and judge everyone else's work. You've been on this show for how many years, Joy? Giving your opinions on everything and everyone? But what have you actually done? What have you created that people will remember in 50 years? The other hosts shifted uncomfortably. Joy's face flushed red. "Excuse me, I've had a career in comedy for decades." "I was on Saturday Night Live for a season," Eddie interrupted. "You were on SNL for 1 season. I was there for 4 years, and I carried that show. There's a difference between being on something and being the reason people tune in." Joy's voice rose. "So now you're going to sit here and diminish my career? That's rich coming from someone who played a donkey in a children's movie." "A children's movie that made almost $500 million, Eddie countered. "A movie that kids still love today. A movie that brought joy to millions of families. What did your stand-up specials do, Joy? How many people's lives did you touch?" "This is unbelievable," Joy said, looking at the other hosts as if for backup. "You come on here with this attitude like you're above criticism, like you're above being questioned." "I'm not above being questioned," Eddie said, his voice growing firmer. "I'm above being disrespected. There's a difference between asking tough questions and starting an interview by basically calling me a failure. You set the tone here, Joy, not me."
Joy laughed, but it was a bitter laugh. "Oh, so I'm the bad guy now. I'm just doing my job. This is what we do on this show. We ask the questions that other shows won't ask." "No," Eddie said, leaning forward now. "What you do is ambush people. What you do is invite someone on, smile to their face, and then try to tear them down for ratings. I've watched this show, Joy. I've seen how you operate. You think you're being brave and honest, but really, you're just being mean." The audience was dead silent. You could feel the tension radiating from the stage. Joy's face was now fully red, her hands gripping her note cards so tight they were starting to bend. "Mean? You want to talk about mean, Eddie? Let's talk about some of the things you've said in your comedy over the years. Let's talk about some of the jokes you made in the 80s and 90s that wouldn't fly today. You want to go there?" Eddie sat back, a knowing look crossing his face. "There it is. I was wondering when you'd bring that up. Yes, Joy, I made jokes decades ago that I wouldn't make today. I've grown. I've evolved. I've apologized for the things I've said that hurt people. Have you? Have I? What?" Joy snapped. "Have you apologized for all the things you've said on this show that hurt people? Have you apologized for your mistakes? Or do you just hold everyone else to a standard you don't hold yourself to?" Joy stood up suddenly, her chair scraping against the floor. "I don't have to sit here and be lectured by you about standards. I've been fighting for what's right my entire career." "Fighting for what's right or fighting for attention?" Eddie asked, his voice cutting through the studio. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks a lot more like the second one." Joy was standing now, her face a mixture of anger and something else, maybe hurt, maybe embarrassment. The other hosts were frozen, unsure whether to intervene or let this play out. Eddie remained seated, calm, his eyes never leaving Joy's face. "You know what your problem is, Eddie?" Joy said, her voice shaking slightly. "Your problem is that you can't handle the fact that you're not untouchable anymore. You had your moment, you were the king, and now you're just another actor trying to stay relevant." Eddie shook his head slowly. "See, that's where you're wrong, Joy. I'm not trying to stay relevant. I don't need to be relevant. I'm doing what I love, working on projects I care about, spending time with my family. Relevance is something people like you obsess over because you're terrified of being forgotten. I'm not scared of that." "Oh, please," Joy scoffed, still standing. "Everyone in Hollywood is scared of being forgotten. That's why you came back. That's why you did Dolomite is my name. That's why you're sitting here right now on this show." "I'm sitting here," Eddie said, his voice dropping lower, "because I was invited, and I said yes because I thought it would be a conversation. I didn't realize I was walking into an interrogation designed to make me look bad so you could feel good about yourself." Joy pointed at him, her hand trembling. "You don't get to come on my show and tell me what kind of host I am." "My show?" Eddie raised his eyebrows. "Last I checked, there were 4 other women sitting up here. But yeah, you're right, it is your show, isn't it? That's the problem. It's supposed to be The View, plural, different perspectives. But really, it's just your view, and everyone else has to fall in line or shut up." One of the other hosts tried to jump in. "Eddie, maybe we can—" "No," Joy cut her off. "No, let him talk. Let him tell us all how terrible I am. Let him tell America how Joy Behar is the problem with television." "I never said you were the problem with television," Eddie replied, "but you're definitely a problem with this conversation. You asked me here to promote a project, to have a discussion, but what you really wanted was a target. You wanted someone you could take shots at to make yourself look tough." Joy's laugh was harsh now. "You think I need you to look tough? I've been taking on politicians, presidents, powerful men for years. You're a comedian, Eddie. You're not that important." "Then why are you so angry?" Eddie asked simply. "If I'm not that important, why are you shaking right now? Why are you so defensive?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Joy opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I'm not defensive. I'm angry because you came on here and disrespected me in front of my audience, in my house." "I responded to disrespect with honesty," Eddie said. "You started this, Joy. From the moment I sat down, you came at me. You questioned my career, my choices, my integrity, and now you're mad because I didn't just sit here and take it with a smile. That's what guests are supposed to do," Joy shot back. "You come on, you answer the questions, you promote your project, and you leave. You don't attack the host." Eddie leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. Is that what you think this is? An attack, Joy? I'm just matching your energy. You want to have a real conversation? I'm here for it. But if you want to play this game where you get to say whatever you want, and I'm supposed to just nod and agree, that's not happening. I have too much respect for myself. Respect, Joy repeated, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You want to talk about respect. You, who walked away from Saturday Night Live and barely looked back. You, who spent years making movies that were beneath your talent just for a paycheck. You're gonna lecture me about respect? I walked away from SNL because I had conquered it, Eddie said, his voice rising for the first time. I was 23 years old, and I was the biggest star on that show. I had offers pouring in. I made a choice to grow, to evolve, to challenge myself. What have you done, Joy? You've been on this show for 25 years, saying the same things, making the same jokes, having the same arguments. Who's really stuck here? The audience gasped. Joy's face went pale, then red again. How dare you? How dare you come into this studio and tell me I'm